The following is a presentation of Channel 3 Sports.
From the Palisades Palace in Wickliffe, welcome to week number 9 of the 1991 10-Pin Challenge here on Channel 3. Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Donovan. Welcome to 10-Pin Challenge, another great Saturday afternoon of bowling here on Channel 3, coming to you from Wickliffe today. We're into the quarterfinal round here on 10-Pin Challenge. We're down to our final 8 teams. We've come a long, long way. Back in October, we started out with over 2,000 teams. Now down to the final 8. We'll send 2 teams to the semifinals after bowling action today. And to help me call all the action, as usual, nice big welcome for Ted Malicki.
Thank you, Jimmy. As usual, it is a pleasure to be here.
Now, down to the final 8, and as we have learned, and through the tournament process, each team that bowls today has already won twice in our tournament, so really there are no flukes.
That's exactly right. And right from the beginning, we have a great match for you. We have Malinowski and Switzler pitted against Palika and Johnson. Now, the lowest game either one of these teams had in their first round was 221. So we do expect some big scores, and anything can happen.
Big numbers coming up here this afternoon on 10-Pin Challenge. Ted and I are all set. Let's get ready for match number 1. Let's meet the teams now for match 1 on today's show. Representing the Ambassador Bedford Lanes is the team of Betty Palika and Cleve Johnson, who entered today's quarterfinals with a 34-pin handicap and a 247 TV average. They face Peggy Malinowski and Pat Switzler from the Wickliffe Lanes. Malinowski and Switzler have a 36-pin handicap and a 228 television average. 2 of the big hitting teams, I think, Ted, safe to say. Especially Palika and Johnson. They have been the real big hitters in this year's tournament.
Well, like we said in the open, Jimmy, there's going to be an awful lot of scores here, and this match is virtually even. It's a 2-pin match.
Peggy Malinowski from Euclid will start us off. Quarterfinal round action on today's 10-Pin Challenge.
There you go, Peggy Malinowski on the nose, caving in a strike, and believe me, that'll get rid of some of the tension real quick.
Could have easily been a 7-10 split, but then all of a sudden the 7 and 10 wobbled down.
Just happened to fall, and that's good.
And now let's meet Betty Palika. Palika with an average of 148.
Betty Palika throwing it on to Brooklyn, shaking the 2 pins, but they just, they're not going to fall.
5-9 standing for Cleve Johnson. Cleve has a 176 bowling average.
You got to watch Cleve Johnson on this shot. He throws a big hook, so he's going to have to guard away from chopping that 5-pin off the 9. And he did. Great cover. Excellent. We're off and running.
Second frame coming up. Betty Palika will come up. A spare in the first frame. She left the 5-9 and almost had them go down.
Betty Palika, she's rattling it, shaking it, but it just won't fall. God, there was pins leaning on it and everything, Jim.
So the 10-pin stands for Cleve Johnson. And now with that big hook that he throws, how does he go after this 10-pin?
Well, he looks like an experienced player. He may just try and straighten this ball out to make the spare. Be a little easier for him. Boy, what a great shot. What a great cover.
So they mark up with spare in frames 1 and 2, and we will center in on Pat Switzler, throwing his first ball of the match. They're working on a strike as Peggy Malinowski, his teammate, threw a strike to lead the match off. He's a 160 average bowler.
Pat Switzler, solid in the pocket, just carrying the 10-pin to fall last to take advantage of his partner's strike.
2 strikes in the match for Malinowski and Switzler. They were getting 2 pins coming into the match, so they have jumped out to an early lead here in this quarterfinal match. Frame 3. Looking for 3 strikes in a row.
Another Brooklyn strike, tripping out that 6-pin. What a great way to start.
Now, for the first time, really, on 10-Pin Challenge, Palika and Johnson have fallen behind. Usually they are off and roaring at this stage of the match.
Well, that's true. There's still plenty of frames to get caught up.
Betty Palika.
And there's another solid strike, circling the 4-pin for Betty Palica.
Great match here on 10-Pin Challenge today. It's quarterfinal round action here on 10-Pin Challenge this afternoon. We'll be back with more right after this.
10-Pin Challenge is sponsored in part by Nuremberg Pleven, by Speedy Muffler King. Visit your local Speedy for all your undercar repair needs. And by Thistledown, racing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. First race, 1:30 p.m.
Look, just drop it. So it wasn't my fault, but it's my problem.
Compensation for negligence is simple justice.
No one wanted this to happen. Someone made a mistake. I'm not looking to make money off it.
Representing the victim, Nuremberg Pleven.
I've worked all my life. Now I can't. Who's going to pay a guy that can't work?
Nuremberg Pleven has represented over 50,000 personal injury victims.
Why am I paying for all this? Maybe I should call someone.
Attorneys at law since 1929.
What you want, baby, we got it.
My dad taught me everything I know about cars. He only got one thing wrong. He never told me to bring my car to Speedy for brakes.
I always went some other place.
These guys are real pros. I get quality parts and a lifetime guarantee for shoes and pads.
I always went some other place.
Dad, do you think you get expert work like this for so little at some other place?
What other place?
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, that's what Speedy means to me.
Chasing you, my lady luck. Won't you smile on me today? Lady luck. Yeah. Won't you lift me up? The finish line's a shout away. Lady luck. Hey, hey. Chasing lady luck. Fastest game in town. Is hear that thistle down. Chasing lady luck. Yeah.
All bowlers appearing on 10-Pin Challenge receive prizes from Speedy Muffler King. Come to Speedy for mufflers, brakes, or shocks and get the respect you deserve.
Ted, this is the way it should be when you get down to the final 8. We are watching a great opening match today.
Absolutely. Neither one of these teams are folding under the pressure, and they're going to make their spares and work hard, and the best team will win.
It's still a 22-pin lead for Melanowski and Switzler. This is Cleve Johnson, his team down by 22 pins, so they need a couple of strikes.
Cleve Johnson getting a Brooklyn hit to carry the strike. It's very important that Cleve Johnson throws strikes. If you remember the last match he bowled, he only had 4 opportunities to throw strikes, and he got them on all 4 shots.
They're at 131 through 5. This is Pat Switzler leading off 6th frame, working on a spare.
Pat Switzler, he's going to have to make some kind of adjustment. There's the 3-6. First 2 shots were solid in the pocket. His next 2 shots were high in the head pin. So he's either going to have to think a little harder and make better shots or make some kind of move on the lane.
They've lost 2 pins off their lead. They now lead by 20.
Peggy Melanowski keeping him in the match with a spare. Tremendous spare shooting by this lady.
See, in this team, Ted, I see no difference. Sometimes when you definitely see the male member of the team get up and in the strike ball position and not throwing a strike. Sometimes the woman does have problems making the spares, but I don't see any drop-off with this team.
They're both evenly matched as partners, you might say. Pat Switzler on the Brooklyn side, leaving a solid 5-pin, if you want to call it that, but it wasn't a strike. Peggy Melanowski come up and make this spare.
There hasn't been an open frame, I should say, in the match. They're at 170 through 6. Melanowski and Switzler holding a 20-pin lead. Betty Palica and Cleve Johnson. Peggy Melanowski going after a 5-pin. Missed it.
She had a mental error over there, Jim.
Thought she might graze it on that right side, but missed it.
Just a mental error. That's not a hard spare for her.
And Melanowski and Switzler open for the first time in the match and our first open frame of the match. And now the door is open for Betty Palica.
Working on a strike. If she can throw this one, they'll take the lead. Oh, and she leaves a solid 4-pin. What an excellent shot.
Cleve Johnson goes up, tells her, nice shot. He'll go after the 4-pin.
Now is not the time to panic. Just make your spares and come back and get them the next frame.
Bob Stewie, our statistician on 10-Pin Challenge, keeping the numbers for us today in a very tight match.
Cleve Johnson making the spare. Sometimes it makes you think a little bit or shake a little bit when he throws that ball. He throws it so far to the right, you think it's never coming back, but it does hook back.
They are down by 19 pins, but can easily climb back into it because they're working against an open frame.
Betty Palika, and another solid 4-pin. You can't throw the ball any better than that, Jim. Just an excellent shot, leaving a 4-pin, and she might try to increase her speed just a touch, but that's about all.
But they're right back in it, down by 9. They were down by 22 pins early in the match. Now trying to pick up the 4.
Steve Johnson making the 4-pin.
And that open frame for Malinowski and Switzler, the miss of a 5-pin, which would seem to be really almost,
that's almost a
given
gimme
for them, yeah.
It's almost a gimme.
Could come back and really bite them. 8th frame. They're at 179. Problems.
Pat Switzer tried to make an adjustment off those last 2 shots that he threw on the nose, and it was just an over adjustment. Now we have the washout. If you watch on our spare maker, we'll show you how to make this, where the head pin takes out the 10.
All right, she's very good, Peggy Malinowski. Making spares. Can she get the washout? Almost.
Oh, what a great try. What a great try. Just didn't get in. She got too much of the head pin.
188 through 8. Their lead was at 22 pins, then down to 15, then down to 9.
It's down to count, Jimmy.
Right.
It's down to count.
9th frame.
Almost even. Pat Switzler making a good shot that time, leaving a solid 4-pin.
Well, the 4-pin does not want to go down today, especially on lane 93, because that's really where Palika and Johnson have left the 4-pin a couple of times.
Yeah, we've seen that more than once today. Peggy's going to be thinking about her last shot missing the 5-pin, so she'll have to concentrate extra hard to make this 4.
9th frame, needing a spare here, and she's right on it.
Excellent job.
They have the possibility of a 238 game, Malinowski and Switzler. And that would be the highest game that they have rolled on 10-pin challenge. Would they be to succeed at that? Here's Betty Palika.
Betty Palika in the pocket, leaving a 5-8. Now that ball deflected. The way we see it there, Jimmy, she really could have left a split on that ball because of the deflection.
It's a dead even match right now. 188, 188 through 8. We're in the 9th frame.
Cleve Johnson makes the spare. Jimmy, this, you know what happens right now? This is virtually a 1-frame match. This is a 10th frame match right now.
So both throw spares in the 9th frame. Now, this is Betty Palika in the 10th. They also have the possibility of a 238 game, which could send us into some extra frames.
Leaving the 10-pin, the ball deflecting, but it was an excellent shot.
Well, I hope you're enjoying this one on 10-pin challenge. Betty Palika right now looking as Cleve Johnson goes after a 10-pin.
Cleve Johnson making an excellent spare. That was a big clutch shot over there in the 10th frame. Having to make that spare. Now count is everything, Jimmy. They need a big count here.
She throws a strike, knocking down 10. They'll end at 227.
That's right, and they'll force Switzler and Malinowski to get 20 pins in the 10th frame to win by 1.
She got 8.
Big Phil, she gets 8.
They're at 225. That's what they are in. Now wondering if that's going to be good enough to get them into the semifinals. And it all hinges right now on Pat Switzler and Peggy Malinowski. 10th frame.
We have a big possibility of a tie here.
And we'll explain the tie-breaking rules should that become necessary. We have a 2-frame roll-off.
Pat Switzler throwing a great shot, ripping him out for a strike.
Didn't think the 7-pin was going to go down, Ted. They've got a little pin underneath it and knocked it down.
Got a lot of pin action on that shot. Now here's the story. They have to get 8 pins in 2 balls to win this match.
They lead by 1, 208, 207. But remember, Palika and Johnson are at 225 and all done. As Ted said, 8 pins and 2 balls. Peggy Malinowski. She got 7. They need 1 pin.
That's a guaranteed tie.
So 7 pins has us tied.
What a match, Jimmy. I'll tell you what, this is the 3rd round that they've bowled, and neither team has bowled under 221. It's a shame one of them had to lose.
Really is. All right, Pat, stay right in there. Knock him one down, and it's over. It is over.
Wow, what a match.
Peggy Malinowski and Pat Switzler win it in the 10th frame by 2 pins over Betty Palicka and Cleve Johnson. What a match! 227 to 225. And before we move on to today's second match, let's take a minute now and visit the bowling clinic with Ted Malicki.
If you've ever had problems with your slide, you know what trouble that can cause. Today we are at Tommy Hudson's Aquamarine Lanes in Avon Lake, Ohio. Now there's two basic surfaces that you slide on. The new synthetic surface, which is very smooth, and the wooden surface, which is your normal surface. But that's not the basic cause of your sliding problems. What is? That's weather. Weather is the biggest factor of all your problems when you slide. If it's very humid out or if it's raining outside, you'll have a tendency to stick. If it's very dry out, you'll have a tendency to slide. What we don't want you to do is use powder. Too much powder will be like bowling on ice. And if you should get that powder wet, it'll be real sticky and you'll end up on your face. What we suggest you do is go to your local hardware store and get yourself a good wire brush. What you do with this is just clean the bottom of your soles. This will give you a good secure slide and give you a better foundation while you're bowling. Tune in again next week and we'll give you another tip on how weather conditions can affect your game.
Now here's the lineup for today's second match on 10-Pin Challenge. Representing the Roseland Lanes in Oakwood Village is the team of Lynn Zuba and Rich Anton. Zuba and Anton have a 41-pin handicap and a 227 TV average. They meet Jennifer Newman and Mark Powers from the Harbor Lanes in Port Clinton, who entered quarterfinal round action today with a 63-pin handicap and a 196 TV average. One of these teams goes on to the semifinals. We have already sent Pat Switzler and Peggy Malinowski there after a heart-throbbing victory over Cleve Johnson and Betty Palicka, 227 to 225. We're coming to you from the Palisades Palace in Wickliffe here. And this is Jennifer Newman with a 134 bowling average, a left-hander as you see, starting us off.
Wow, Jennifer Newman starting off getting a wall shot, but getting a bad break also, leaving the 5 and the 7.
Is this makeable?
Oh, absolutely. This is, it's not a real easy spare, but you have to slide the 5 into the 7. Hit it real thin on the right-hand side.
Mark Powers, average of 126, will try and do just that.
Mark giving it a great effort there. Great effort.
Just missed. Open first frame. Lynn Zuba, 19 years old, hairdresser, with a 138 average.
Lynn Zuba throwing that 12-pound ball out there and tripping the 6-pin for a strike. Wow, what a way to start. I was talking to Rich Anton, who's up here on lane 93 in a 96-lane house earlier this week. Rich going high on a headpin, leaving a 3-pin, and he said he wasn't too concerned in the 20-pin spot or 22 pins that they have to spot the other team because of the difference of the averages. So he's pretty confident.
So Lynn Zuba will go after the 3-pin. A lot of speed on that ball and got it.
He made the spare.
They open with a strike and spare in frames 1 and 2. We go back for frame 2 now, and Jennifer Newman, who threw a 5-7 split her first time up. Didn't like the shot when she let it go, and that's why she wipes out the back row but leaves the bucket.
That ball seemed to hang on her thumb a little bit. She didn't get out of it real clean, and it caused her to pull the ball. Now Mark Powers is going to have to come up here and make the spare. He's got to hit the headpin solid to make this spare. Makes a great shot of it. Excellent shot.
We'll be right back with the close of this match on 10-Pin Challenge after this.
Chasing you, my lady luck. Won't you smile on me today? Yeah. Won't you lift me up? The finish line's a shout away. Hey, hey. The fastest game in town is here at Thistledown. Chasing lady luck.
I've been a doctor for 30 years. Maybe I was lucky, but nothing like this ever happened before.
Compensation for malpractice is simple justice.
It can happen once. That's why I bought insurance from your company.
Representing the victim, Nuremberg Plevin.
They deserve to be compensated. It would be inexcusable to fight them.
Nuremberg Plevin has represented over 50,000 personal injury victims.
And frankly, I'm on their side. I'm their doctor.
Attorneys at law since 1929.
What you want, baby, we got it.
My dad taught me everything I know about cars. He only got one thing wrong. He never told me to bring my car to Speedy for brakes.
I always went some other place.
These guys are real pros. I get quality parts and a lifetime guarantee for shoes and pads.
I always went some other place.
Dad, do you think you get expert work like this for so little at some other place?
What other place?
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, that's what Speedy means to me.
Jennifer Newman and Mark Powers coming into the match with a 22-pin lead right off the bat because of handicap difference, not making any mistakes.
That's right. Zubin and Anton's, I think their game plan was just to try and stay clean and let Newman and Powers make the mistakes.
Zuba and Anton at 127 through 5.
It's a big break, kicking out that 5-pin of the 5-7 split, leaving only the 7.
Bumped into each other coming off the line. Lynn Zuba all business.
They're a little into it, a little excited. The adrenaline's pumping right now.
Going after the 7.
Rich Anton just catches the paint for the spare.
When he let it go, the crowd didn't think that he got it. They thought that he left it way out there to dry on the middle part of the lane. And then all of a sudden, the ball's hooked back, almost on the tension, you know.
He knows what his ball does, so he sort of figured he was going to get there.
An 11-pin lead for Newman and Powers. They came into the match with a 22-pin handicap difference, leading in the match by 22 pins. And a strike.
A solid strike. Mark Powers is going on the Brooklyn side. It really doesn't matter what side you get him on as long as you get him.
And now their lead is at 22 pins. Once again, just the way the match started out. 7th frame.
Jennifer Newman. Wow, man. Chance to take an advantage over there, leaving the split. 5-10 split. Have to slide that 5-pin over and make the 10. Hit it real thin on the left-hand side.
Mark Powers has had some tough spares to make in the match. The second split that he's gone after today. He got the 5 right on the money.
A good effort. For a professional, that'd probably be 1 out of 10. For an amateur, that might be 1 out of 50.
They're
That's a tough shot.
Sorry, Ted. They're at 177 through 7 on the open frame. Lynn Zuba hits the head pin right through the middle, goes right down the middle, and she leaves a tough split.
Leaving almost impossible split. Rich Anton now will have to move right and just try and get the 2 pins. Hope he gets lucky and rattles one out of the pit to carry the 6-pin.
Oh, he almost pulled it off.
Tried to slide it over there. Actually, it looked pretty close from here, Jim, but if you were right on the play down there, he wasn't that close, because that's straight across that pin is.
And they continue, Ted, to trail in the match, and it's late now. Zuba and Anton are down by 24 pins.
Well, they got to get on their horse here and throw strikes. That's one way to get back into the match.
There's Lynn Zuba fired up now, knowing that the frames are growing few, knowing that they've got to catch some thunder here in the late going to get into the semifinals. And now this team of Newman and Powers not making that many mistakes. She's had trouble really getting the ball to the pocket all day.
Not got the ball to the left side of the head pin, which is her pocket, being a left-hander. This is a fairly easy spare for Mark Powers. He's been very good on his spares today. He'll just have to throw a strike ball and hit that head pin sort of solid.
Nope, he missed.
He let it go. As soon as he let it go, he knew it. You could see the reaction on his face.
So an open frame, and that could cost them. Here in the 8th frame, they're at 185 through 8. We go to the 9th now for Jennifer Newman. And again, tailing right.
The same exact shot, the same exact spare leave. Now Mark Powers up on the right lane. He'll remember what he just did on that last shot and try to make a better shot or some kind of adjustment.
Practice makes perfect. Jennifer hopes as Mark will now attempt to pull off the spare here. 9th frame.
Oh, that's much better. He just got a piece of that 2-pin and it fell. But that was a big piece of the 2-pin.
Boy, she thanks him from the bottom of her heart because they have the possibility of a 235 game, but certainly didn't need to go open in the 9th frame, and they get the spare. And now the team that had the lower handicap of the match, Zuba and Anton, and this is Rich Anton, must fire back here.
Oh, what a great shot Rich threw there, just leaving the 10-pin. The 6-pin just laying in the gutter. You can see it there.
How do they pull this one out, Ted? They're really running out of time.
Well, they still have one more frame. This is a must spare for Lynn Zuba.
She'll go across the alley on 94 to try and pick up the 10 and missed it.
She missed it to the left. Big error right there.
Zuba and Anton in big trouble. Down in the match by 13 pins, so they did eat away into the lead, but remember, they go open in the 9th. So here they are. This is their last at-bats in the 10th.
Rich Anton. Leaving the 3-pin and the 6-pin. Another spare. They have a possibility of a 201. And that just might be a little short. They sort of needed a double to force Newman and Powers to mark.
Well, they weren't worried about the handicap, you thought, because they were giving up 22 pins coming into the match. But in essence, they really didn't eat away at that handicap difference all during the match.
It seemed like they got behind and just couldn't get back into the match. Couldn't throw the key shot when they needed it.
Sometimes when there's that much of a difference, you really have to come out firing in the early frames to put the pressure on the team that is carrying the lead coming into the match with the higher handicap, and also to get yourself motivated too. They end at 199.
Jennifer Newman up here just has to stay behind the foul line and knock down 2 or 3 pins.
This match is virtually over, and now is. So there's your winning team on to the semifinals. Jennifer Newman and Mark Powers make it to the Final Four, defeating Lynn Zuba and Rich Anton 214 to 199.
Chasing you, my lady luck. Won't you smile on me today? Yeah. Won't you lift me up? The finish line's a shout away. Hey, the fastest game in town is here at Thistledown. Chasing lady luck. Yeah.
What you want, baby, we got it.
My dad taught me everything I know about cars. He only got one thing wrong. He never told me to bring my car to Speedy for brakes.
I always went some other place.
These guys are real pros. I get quality parts and a lifetime guarantee for shoes and pads.
I always went some other place.
Dad, do you think you get expert work like this for so little at some other place?
What other place?
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, that's what Speedy means to me.
Most people like them because they save time and money. Others like them because they actually improve employee performance. Still others like what they do for the company's image. But what do the people who wear a Cintas uniform think?
My uniform's red hot. My uniform's red hot. Hey, it looks good. And feels fine.
Uniforms from Cintas, because if you're not in Cintas, you're not in uniform.
Red hot, looks good.
All bowlers appearing on 10-Pin Challenge receive prizes from Speedy Muffler King. Come to Speedy for mufflers, brakes, or shocks and get the respect you deserve.
Thanks for joining us today on